Hey folks, welcome back. I want to share some stuff with you that, well, it's really interesting stuff actually. Well, one is an observation that I've made that seems to be proving to be true. I've made it several times. I actually did a video on the subject years back, how knowledge is power. And I'm sure you've heard that saying before when it comes to humans, because knowledge can be quite empowering. And when it comes to certain situations, and it also helps eliminate fear, which in turn makes you calmer and more relaxed. Well, I think that works with horses too. I'm quite convinced it does, and I'm going to share a little observation with you, and well, tell you some other things too. Hang on a second. Well, today's video is going to be mostly about this guy here. I've been playing with him a little bit. Not much, just totally at liberty, no halter, no lead, none of that stuff. And so I want to share an observation that I made recently that kind of reaffirms something that I already believed, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. I just throw it out there with you. You can argue with me and say it's BS or whatever, I don't care. This is not the first time, it's like maybe the third time I've seen the exact same thing happen. I'm going to tell you about it in a second. But also, his owner was just out here. And I had a nice conversation with him. Turns out this is not the horse I thought it was. This guy here is the completely untrained horse. So they're both owned by the same family, they're relatives, but they are different owners. But so it's not owned by the person I thought it was, but it is in the family. But this big gray over here, he's the completely untrained one. Now this guy here, as it turns out, actually has had some training, although from what I've gathered, not a lot. It's been woefully inadequate and quite a few years ago, like about 10 years ago. And only about 30 days worth of training, which that's not really adequate. You might get away with it if you have an experienced rider, puts lots of miles on the horse after that and knows what they're doing. 30 days might get a good enough start, and it all depends on the horse. But in this case, the owner is not a confident rider, and they did not continue his training and exercising. But, oh well. So we do have permission to work with them, though. We did talk to them, asked them, and we now have permission to put the lead and halter on and do whatever we want with them, basically. This was likely the guy here that I was asked to train previously. Chances are it's probably okay to go ahead and mess with him too. Although we're going to confirm that with the owner before we do that, just to make sure. Don't want to offend anybody, but I'm pretty sure even if I didn't get permission, they probably wouldn't really care that much. But I'm going to talk a little bit about this other guy for a second. Now, this guy here is the herd leader. He's the high horse out here. And it was not unusual when the horses were eating, and I'll just give you a little shot of the feeding setup here. Okay, the feed trough starts at this end, goes all the way down to there. You know, pretty much where the backside of that furthest horse is. So there's a fair bit of room, but not uncommon for an insecure horse, is they tend to be a little bit of a bully, and he would frequently chase off other horses. Now, when the guy comes out to feed, and sometimes there's a round bale in the pen with a net over it, sometimes they 4K into this feed trough. So it doesn't always get used, but when it does, he'll spread the hay out from end to end, which, you know, there's a fair bit of distance there. And well, this guy here, he was rather insecure, and it didn't matter if he had hay or not. If the other horses were eating, he'd chase them off whatever they were eating, and so he could eat it. So he would go down to that end and chase those horses away and eat some hay down there. Those horses would move back down to this end, a long ways away from him, and start eating down here. And he'd decide, well, hey, I'm going to chase them off of that hay too. And he'll come back down to this end, chase them away, and start eating this hay. Well, then those horses would go back down to that end. At which point, he'd go down to that end, chase him off the hay. Okay, so, and he liked doing this. He would frequently, for no reason, chase other horses away from whatever they were eating, or he just liked making them move. Well, that's not an uncommon thing. I've seen it happen before. And I want to talk about this a bit because it's kind of interesting. Now, like I said, I've seen this phenomenon before. And when a horse is insecure, because it doesn't know much, or it's not real self-confident or whatever, they tend to get a little bit bullyish, bossy, pushy, whatever. But I've noticed something is in the last little while, since I've been playing with them a little bit, and I haven't been doing a whole lot, just enough that he's starting to feel a little more comfortable around me and things like that, and we can get him to do a few things. And since he got more knowledge and learned how to do a few more things and felt a little more self-confident, he doesn't any longer feel the need to chase the other horses around. And I just realized it today that he hasn't done it for a while. He hasn't been chasing the other horses. In fact, not that one, but one of the other horses was standing right beside him eating today, and he was letting them. And it was not one of the higher horses. His herd mate, he's been together with this guy for quite a while, so it would not be unusual to see them together, but even him, he's chased off. I've seen that happen. So there's not one horse here that he hasn't chased off the food. But he hasn't done it for quite a while. And I just noticed it, like I said, just noticed it today, and I realized, I think I know why, because it's not the first time I've seen this. Because as a horse learns more, and they have a larger database, more knowledge, they feel a little more confident about things. The world isn't as scary. They understand things better. They learn to think. And as a result, they become more self-confident, and they no longer feel the need to get pushy with other horses in order to feel good. And I've seen this a few times now, and you know, if you pay attention, maybe you've noticed it before too. Maybe you've seen it yourself. Maybe you think I'm full of it. I don't know. Leave a comment below if you want. I don't mind. You know, I have no argument with people disagreeing with me. You can disagree with me all you want. You're free to do that. But I just thought it was interesting that, and I thought I'd share it with you because, like I said, it's not the first time I've seen this happen, where the disposition of a horse changed even with other horses because of what it was learning. And this is, like I said, several horses now that I've worked with. One was really, really bad. Another one was just super nervous. One was downright bully. So I've seen it happen a couple of times. I did a video on the subject once before, and I'm convinced, absolutely without a question now, I am convinced that the more the horse gets to know, the more the horse understands, the more the horse can do, the calmer it gets, and the more comfortable it gets with people, the better it is with other horses, and the better it is with life in general, in fact. Because I've seen horses go from hard to handle and hard to catch and all that stuff to just a few short lessons, and all of a sudden they completely turn into a different horse. So there you go, something to think about. Maybe you've seen this stuff happen before too. I've actually never heard anybody else talk about it, but I've actually seen it happen several times now. So I'm convinced there's a pattern here. Think about it, see what you think about it. Look around at the horses around you that you've seen, that you know, or think about ones you've seen in the past. And if they changed the way they interacted with other horses and humans as their training progressed. And is it a sound theory? I think it is. What do you think? Have a good day.